Hey, there it is.
How's it going, brother?
Doing well, man. How you doing?
Good, good. Can you hear me good on your side?
Yeah, I got you. How am I coming through?
Great. We're looking good. We're looking good.
You're looking great, sir. How am I coming through? You got your bass turned up, your car speakers. It's like a whole production office in there.
Yeah, man, we got it going on over here.
There you go.
It's a
So
blessing to have you on today, brother. And I just wanted to start by thanking you for giving me your time and hopping on krylonTalk today.
you got it, sir. Happy to be here with you. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to talking to anyone during a pandemic, man. It's lonely out here.
Definitely,
Boring.
man. It's been hella boring, and man, we're living some tough times right now.
I
Trying to make the
know, I
best out of it.
know. I went out, I had a bucket of beer with some friends at a taco shop the other night, and it was like, it fucking felt amazing. It was the highlight of my week. Just 5 beers in a row. I was like, yeah, guys, hanging out and shit. I was all happy. Dude, so yeah, the bar is low these days, but yeah, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. That's just crazy because, man, these bars they're tripping right now.
You know
You
what's
outside
crazy?
and all.
Well, down here in San Diego, where I'm from, is like they went in like a day. They went from like super strict alcohol container, open container bullshit laws. You know, you can't, have a patio past 10 o'clock. And then like within one day, they're like, hey, go get fucked up, San Diego. Like, here's your drink, take it home. Fuck IDs. Like they seem to just not give a shit like overnight. And that blew me away, man. They used to be so strict and now they're just fucking like, whatever.
Man, I've had a beautiful experience going down there in downtown over there. And they
Yeah,
have like
no.
they got the little guys with the bike and you can sit in the back and stuff.
Yeah. That was actually, there was a prostitution ring that was running that way. I swear to God. No, it's just true story. Here we go. Come on in here. No, but for real, like they got busted a couple years ago. You looked this up, and it was basically these pedicab girls. They were like really attractive, and they'd be riding around, and they'd looking back at the male customer out of town. You're like, oh hey, like maybe we'll stop over here at this hostel, and then they got raided, and it was like a whole ring.
Crazy.
So yeah, hey, Honky Konger, how you doing, brother?
So I want to start today, brother. If you could share a little bit about, I mean, how'd you start with art? You know, what got you going, and maybe around what year that was?
Oh shit, the year. I mean, I was always that kid like in school, just I was always drawing. I was always, like the last one finished like when we did like the art hour or whatever in, elementary school. I was like all my notes were covered in doodles and everything like that. So, I don't know, man. I was basically just I've always kind of been the drawing type, but I was young, so I sucked. And then, but I was always into it, I grew up a pretty mundane life, I've seen the other people that you've had on this podcast and, some OGs in the graffiti game. And that just wasn't me. I grew up in like in a different environment, suburban San Diego. It was boring. It was like white kids selling weed, that was like the craziest shit going on. In fact, a lot of them got arrested in high profile manners too. But yeah, that was it. It was just like, it was pretty boring. And I remember always looking, come downtown San Diego and be like, what the fuck is all this? What is amazing? I remember being a little kid and like actually seeing like Obey posters and stuff. And like, I was like, what is it? Is it like some sort of cult? Like, what the fuck? What is this
Yeah,
shit?
man. Obey took it to the next level with this style of art.
Yeah. I mean, they were down here in like, probably the, mid 90s or something. And it was, like Dave Kinsey was down here, and there's been a history in San Diego, which is cool. I mean, San Diego is kind of looked at, as like maybe LA's like little brother kind of thing. At least I know a lot of people from San Diego have that chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I feel yeah
so
that one.
yeah, it's like when you're competing with such a basically like an art capital, it'd be like, I don't know, New Jersey to New York type of shit, where you're just like, oh fuck, like everyone's always looking at that. So, being from San Diego, it's always just, I don't know, we have a bit of a history, but it's quite the same. I think also too, the culture in San Diego drove a lot of those guys out. I think it was
Gotcha.
the police culture, like the constant, like, everyone, like it's like a really clean city, it's a military town. It's like pretty fucking right
Oh
wing in
yeah, you're
certain.
right. I totally forgot about that. You guys got a camp down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got, we're in the corner essentially, if you think about it, right on the border and on the ocean. So you got to put a giant ass base here, I guess. At least that's what the military thought. So, and we got a big ass harbor. So yeah, so there's a lot of military people, dude. There's a lot of like, I don't know, it's tough for art because like in LA too, you have like you have the film industry. You got a lot of creative endeavors, right?
Yeah,
Down here in San Diego, it's not really like that, where people were essentially just like, like, I'm gonna decorate my house with IKEA, and I've never been to an art show before, not really curious about it. Hey, that looks cool, can't.
gotcha.
Hey, what you're painting? Hey, thinking come kid do my kid's bedroom. And it's like, oh no, slightly,
Like it could be a
slightly.
tough situation trying to get people, to notice the art form, especially, some people look at graffiti, a certain way, sometimes differently. But
Oh,
I had a chance to check out one of your interviews where you talk about, if I'm accurate, correct me if I'm wrong, where you speak about you started mainly with brush.
yeah. I don't know what interview you're referring to, but yeah, that's kind of I don't have that traditional like graffiti to gallery story. If anything, mine's a little bit backwards, where I was always drawing, always thought it was amazing, always thought, I kind of always had like sort of an illustrative style as a kid growing up, and then I so I'd paint on a small scale. I guess here's my story right here. So I was painting, and I was kind of, getting in some little galleries here in town, and then this like local magazine picked it up. I actually got it sitting over in the corner somewhere, but this little local magazine put it on the cover, and then I was drinking at a bar. This graffiti writer named Nico showed up, and he's really unmissable large dude, and he was like, I was like, hey, you're Nico, right? And he's like, yeah, what's up? Like super fucking scary and intimidating and an asshole. And I love him. He's one
Yeah.
of my best friends, but he was an asshole. So I was like, yo, hi, my name's Chris, and I do paintings. But he was like, yeah, I think I've seen your shit before, which is pretty cool. Here, turn on this light because my shit went off. But he's like, I think I've seen your stuff before. Like, why don't you come by a studio and check it out? And then I was like, all right, cool. So I went by a studio, and I was just basically like, hey, how do I get involved in this shit? Like, how do I make my small paintings into something larger? And he's like, well, come learn how to basically paint graffiti. And I was like, well, okay, that makes sense because it's a technique on a wall, and essentially I can paint my mural using the techniques I learned there. So he would draw it all out, and I'd make jokes like I'd see him filling in a piece, like, hey, union job here, motherfucker, like give me the can, and I'd like fill it in, and that's how I learned how to use spray paint. And then he was like I told you, like intimidating in a sense, but it was like good because it really pushed me. Where he would basically be like, do the outline, and I'd be like, oh, I again just want to do the fills and just learn. And he's like, do the fucking outline. I'm like, oh fuck, do the fucking outline. And so he would basically like intimidate me into doing it, but at the same time he was like pushing me. You know what I'm saying? And being like, you can do it, you can do it. And hearing someone say that, who's like known for like having like just really big clean lines and really sharp fucking beautiful pieces. I was like, oh, well, if he thinks I can do it, then maybe I can do it. And then all of a sudden, I started doing it. And then I became a cocky shithead. So it's like it's like a learned cockiness shithead program, is what I'm trying to say.
At what time? At what time at what point did you feel like art was something that you were gonna take seriously?
Man, it's funny. It's like I'm like kind of coming up on a 10-year reunion, if you will, of I did a bunch of traveling when I was younger and just partying essentially, and fucking seeing different things, and then traveling the world, and just hey, woo, fun times. And it
Yeah.
turns out a lot of great cultures, a lot of people like to have a lot of fun, and fuck, I'm a fun person, so I'm right in the middle of that shit. But I got back to town, and I traveled for about 2 years, and I got back to San Diego, and it was kind of, I'd been keeping journals and always like had a book and whatever, and would just draw and paint. But I got to see a lot too. Like I was able to go to like Barcelona. I was able to go to, I lived in Paris for a while, and I'd go down. I'd like crawl around their little metros and shit. I was really trying to get like figure out their scene, but I couldn't speak the language, and it wasn't, I
It was
wasn't ill
tough.
enough. But yeah, but I was like, oh, gee, checking it out. And so I saw a bunch of shit that amazed me, and I wanted to come back, and I wanted to just paint. And I had this idea, like, dude, if I could just get a house with a garage, I'll be set for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? And I can just, do whatever I want in there. But then later on, it became you know, a little bit more about public art in a sense, a little bit more about murals and about, you know, painting on a larger scale. And once I started to see that, it was super effective and super sick, and I love it. I love influencing shit. I love, not like in the internet term, but like more like, you know, I love having people say like, dude, I see your shit every day. I see your wall every day. I drive by on the way to work, and you know, it makes me happy. Where it's like it's cool to see that kind of, that's great, because you're actually influencing the world. You're transforming, you know, some person's day, even if it's really small. They like your shit, or they like a mural you helped produce, or they like, you know, a sculpture you made, and it's like, cool. Fuck yeah.
You had the chance, brother, to travel and be out of the States, and you know, actually have the chance to experience different type of arts and people. Is there anything that you experienced or seen out there that maybe made you be like, oh shit, this is different, or something that stood out?
I mean, there's been a few, I guess, different pieces of my life that I've always been like, wow, this is amazing. Something I remember that there's David Ellis. He's like an artist, street artist, really rad dude. I saw stuff in museums and shit. But he
That's
got this
dope.
this you know what I'm talking about. He got this
Yeah.
project where he got all these different artists together. It was like to paint a barn or something in a museum. So it was like interior, and they just set up like a GoPro on it, and they had like, I don't know, 20 artists paint it, and it was like this boom, 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 boom. And I remember thinking like, holy shit, like this is an amazing project that had an impact on me for a bunch of reasons. A, I was young. B, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. C, I was impressed with every artist on it. And then D, that was like, they were just covering each other so fluidly, and like nothing was precious. And I was like, fuck, like that's insane. Like they're at this level where they can like throw away something that I want to keep so much. That really transformed, you know, a lot. And then I don't know, traveling around. And we had a couple shows too here in San Diego, like museum shows, where some of the best in the world were able to show up and see their work and see their murals in the street. And fuck, dude, incredible.
I mean, man, it's dope, you know, to have a finished piece out there, like you mentioned, and you know, have someone acknowledge it. Me personally, I've had a chance to see eye to eye two of your pieces. I seen the one that you did in North Hollywood. It was like pinkish letters. I think it says "Lucky."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
seen that one,
okay.
and then I seen the.
I was gonna ask, how'd you hear about me? Because I'm, you know, I'm not everyone's favorite graffiti writer. In fact, I do more, you know, kind of different art, murals, that type of thing. And then I like to get drunk and go fuck around in some tunnels, you know, just like everyone else.
I actually seen you painting the one you did at Banning High School because I went to Banning High School.
Oh, no way. All
But
right.
I
Sick.
felt it felt kind of awkward just going up to like, hey, what's up, man?
Oh, no, no, that's okay. I,
You know, I've had some experiences in the past where people feel some type of way, so I felt like doing the more professional way and sending an email.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Jesus, even at that project, I had a bunch of people pulling over, and like, that's always sick when you can have someone pull over and stop. Be like, hey, what's up? You know, that made me, that changed my day. Had to. So it's like, you know, it's great. And then the other one, the one you're talking about up in LA, was essentially like a project through Container Yard. At least the guys who own Container Yard, they were looking for essentially a big signage job, and they were like, hey, you know, it's like a 200-foot wall with like a 40-foot Art Deco tower in the center, and they're like, you know, hey, we think about your style. I like to work a lot with, you know, old signage elements, old neon signs, if you will, maybe lit in the day, or maybe a collection of like mid-century modern letters or googie signage, you know, just kind of random old scrappy stuff, you know, like mid-century scraps, if you will. And they let me kind of play in one of those manners and paint their
It,
wall.
wa- it was a very dope outcome. I mean,
Thanks, man.
I got the chance to see it, and it was pretty dope. Have you ever had that customer that just be like, "Hey, man, paint whatever you want. I just
Oh
want something
yeah,
up here."
yeah, yeah. They're the greatest. I mean, like, so that particular job, no, they were like, hey, this is a shopping center. It's called Lucky Corner. Can you know? So that was, I had the right Lucky Corner, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the one that you saw on Banning, they were it was cool. It was through excuse me, Life Water. If you are familiar with that brand, it's like a water company, and they
Oh
were doing
yeah.
this art.
I believe Coca-Cola owns them.
Something like Pepsi, I think. But yeah,
Okay.
and so there's like a big brand, and they were doing this art project, and they were like, hey, we can't find any artists in LA. And I was like, fuck, are you looking? But whatever, you know, I guess you're hitting us up. Cool. And so it was myself and my girlfriend, Carly Ely, check her out, Carly Ely, amazing artist. But
Shout
they
out.
were shout out to Carly. But we were basically contracted to go up to two schools, and Phineas Banning being one of them. She painted Narbonne High School, or Narbonne, which is like, the rival. But
Oh,
basically, we got these opportunities to paint these walls, and they just told us like, hey, this is for like art program to influence art education and kind of like show kids that art is cool. And like, that's a fucking rad project. I was super bummed out because it's a pandemic, and like I'm like already old. I'm like young old, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I was like, I would have loved to like hang out with the kids and shit and just like hear them, talk shit. But kids are so honest.
Yeah.
Kids are so honest. They'll tell you exactly how they feel about it, So I was bummed I didn't get that interaction, but it was still cool. Still a really good project, and that was a little bit more. To answer your question, I gotta paint whatever I want. I wanted it to write the word create. I wanted hopefully to people could see that you just take a simple Blake surface and make something beautiful.
That's dope, brother. When it comes to painting a mural, is there a certain type of preparation that you take? Like, do you go like sketch it out first and whatnot, or
Well,
it?
yeah, and I mean we can talk about essentially like the professional end of things, where I think too for a lot of people, hopefully who are listening to this, I want them to understand that it's attainable to paint professionally, and you don't have to fucking sell out in a sense and like, you know what I mean, like paint what you don't love. You can paint something that you really enjoy, that you're fucking proud of, and it still looks like your art and your portfolio, and you can get paid for it. But what I do in the process is like I'll just basically draw it out on my iPad. I get a photo of a wall, draw it right on there. Bonk, this is how it's gonna look. Obviously you want to have room to improvise and you want to have the ability to improvise. But like I always, give them as detailed a sketch as I can. And if I learned early on, about 7 years ago, I had this big project, and it was like at the end of the day, the guy told me, he's like, "Dude, you're one of the easiest clients I ever had to work with." And I was like, "Really?" Because it's my first job, and I was like drunk the whole time. We're like, "Woo!" It was a brewery. We're partying with a couple of friends there, and they were like, "No, dude, you painted on time, on budget, and like you didn't cause any problems." And that's what I realized. If you can just basically give a business person, an owner of a building, fuck a liquor store, whatever, you can say, here's what it's going to look like, here's how long it's going to take, here's how much it's going to cost. Those three simple items, they can make a decision. Might be yes, might be no, but they can make their business guy decision. And if they don't have that information, they're never going to say yes, right? But if they have
Definitely.
that information, they can say yes. And then you can change your shit, from the sketch, right? You don't always have to do everything. I've learned that way too, where, sometimes like clients just want to have feedback, right? They want to put their stamp on shit. If it's like maybe say it's for a design agency and they're working with an architect and they're working with someone else and they're like, hey, we've got a wall inside our building, and you throw them something that's just fucking awesome, they need to say something. So they'll be like, oh, I don't like that there's a tag in the background, or I don't like that there's this or that. And so I've learned to kind of just put those items in after the fact, and then, whatever that whole expression, better to, get forgiveness than permission type shit, And once they see it all together too, they understand that it's not like the focal point of shit. It's kind of like hidden in the background, and then they're like super cool. It just adds a little flavor, a little style, you know what I mean? But
Dope, dope.
yeah, that's how it
Man,
is.
I want to thank you for sharing that, brother, because a lot of guys, especially in the graffiti world, feel like, selling out. But, at some point, you just got to evolve and take care of yourself financially. And, you can actually build a career of something that you love, like
Yeah,
if you
and
really
like,
love this, chase it.
well, that's true too. Like, if you're happy doing what you're doing, then are you selling out? I don't know. I like, dude, I get a paint. I don't have a boss. It's kind of nice. You know what I mean? I go take a break, I climb on the roof and smoke a joint. Like, hey, whatever. Right? Like, there's no one up my ass, right? And hasn't been for nearly a decade now. That's the shit. That's what you want. I mean, I can think of a lot of people who, especially graffiti writers, who are like, letters or the only thing I want to do ever. My 4 to 5 letters of my name. Well, that's limiting, man. That's super limiting because not everyone wants a piece of graffiti on their wall. And if you have some other style that you can bring to the table, you know, you're probably going to be able to work this into a business and make a living off it. And that's kind of
gain some better opportunities.
for sure, for sure. And you know, dude, I work hard as fuck. I try a lot. People see a lot of the successes that I have, and they may not enjoy it, but they're missing all the failures. And I'm the first one to tell you, I fail a lot. I fail at writing proposals. I fail at getting jobs. I fucking turn in sketches. They don't like them. Hey, it doesn't work out. They're going to go a different route. No one sees that. They only see the successes. So you have to fail a fuck ton to succeed a bit. And that's life.
Man, you're definitely right about that. That's in every aspect. You know, you're always going to have hatred and fall, but you just got to get back up and keep moving, keep striving.
Yeah, and fuck haters and fuck people who, there's a lot of people who want to detract and whatnot, but I think if you're doing great work or you're doing good work, people are going to notice it. They may notice it in a negative environment, but that's them. That's how they're putting their negative shit onto what you're doing. If you're out there doing what you love, hey man, most people will enjoy it. Some people will talk shit, but then again, people don't talk shit about anything, so fuck them.
I'm sure you had the situation in the past. And in the situation where someone goes and messes with your piece or mural.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I'm actually quite lucky, you know. LA, my shit gets fucking rocked. Like, it's LA, dude.
Yeah.
You know, what can you do? I don't take it personally. There's a couple pieces I have down in San Diego, one collaboration. It's like right on some trolley tracks with my girlfriend. And there's another piece I have, super public on PCH. It's like fucking busy ass street. So it's in like a little bombing corridor, you know, kids get up right there. And dude, they're young. It's usually toy shit. Or like crackheads are my main problem. They'll like just Sharpie write a crazy paragraph, you know, and you're like, what the fuck is all this?
COVID-19 is a government conspiracy.
Yes, yeah. But they chose like the chin of the woman that my girlfriend paid to write it all out on, and you're like, hey, thanks for giving her a fucking 5 o'clock shadow, you know. So I don't know. Don't take it personally. I got colors. I'll go down there, take care of that shit real quick, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't seem to understand how long it takes to finish a piece. You know, it's not something that you just go up there and have it done in like 15, 20 minutes. No, so they don't see the work behind it. They just see it as like, oh, fuck this guy. You know what I mean?
We had one. It's actually really funny. It says "Crushing It." It's my girlfriend and I. We painted it, and it's like this car getting crushed and a lady like looking at it. But the humans are almost, if there were humans in the car, they'd be like real size. And some kids went up there with like chalk and like drew themselves in it with like bubbly faces. It was like, Andrew, Tim. I was like that was adorable because they didn't fuck it up. It just took one rain to get rid of it. But yeah, most of it's kind of annoying. But if you paint quick and you know how to touch it up, you'll be all right.
Yeah, definitely right, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course, brother.
At this point, do you have any favorite spray paint to use? Why when you're doing a spray paint project?
I mean, whatever's clever at the end of the day. Like, you know, you like whatever you can use. If you want to, you know, like when I started out, my friends would all yell at me and they'd be like Rusto only, like fucking Rusto. And, you know, people are really, you know, committed to their brands and spray paint. You're obviously a Krylon man yourself. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, dude. Most of my walls, since they're like professional, and I'm going to use like Montana Gold. It's like fucking cream of the crop, you know. Cans are always on point. Shake them twice. They start spraying the exact same color as whatever other batch you got, that same color, you know. It's just like, it's good like that. Montana 94s, the Spanish one's great. You know, I'll paint with anything though. It really doesn't matter. I'll paint with Rusto for painting a terrain. I'll do what I got to do. So yeah, I think it's all about the specific, like what you got, what you're painting. I remember one time we painted the border wall. That was a cool project.
Well,
obviously, obviously the TJ side, you know, not the Trump side. But we painted down there, and I'm telling you, that was the roughest fucking surface I've ever painted on, ever. It's like thick ass corrugated steel that's been out in the wilderness for 50 years or something. So that was just like dumping Rusto, just dumping Rusto on it just to get a nice little base coat, you know. Then maybe we'll finish it off with some, you know, a couple low pressure cans. Do a little couple of tricks with those.
Man, sometimes, man, even the dollar cans come in handy when you're just out there, man.
There you go. There you go. Well, there's that kills in a can I learned is like, that'll just cover fucking anything, dude. That's one of the gnarliest, like, you know, just fill in over like a mossy, gross wall, and it just becomes like super opaque. So yeah, I mean, really though, like whatever's clever. I think that a well-rounded painter is going to be able to paint with anything. And
yeah, you're definitely right about that.
There's so much more to be said about technique and planning your piece and understanding how to cut things back and where things go, that, you know, you'll be able to do it with any brand of paint if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, true that, man, because there's some guys that they be doing some killer stuff too, and then you find out what they're using and you be like, oh shit, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure, dude. Like, certain people. I mean, I don't want to name names or nothing, but I have a friend who's like super well-known graffiti writer, and he used to be like, Rusto is the only way. Rusto is really talk all this shit. He'd be like, oh, you got those designer cans, that's cute. Oh, you got that expensive paint. Oh, you got this, and you know, like talk mad shit. And then he starts getting flow from a company, and he's like, this paint's the shit, you know. I'm like, yeah, there you go, dude. Now you get it. You got some fucking in, and now it's, you know, it's not so hardcore anymore. And I won't say who it was, but it just made me smile. You know what I mean? Like, all right.
It gave him a different perspective.
Yeah, for sure. You know, if you don't have to rack Rustos from Home Depot, I guess you don't.
I've noted. I had the chance to read a little bit too, brother, and I've seen that you do a little bit of sculpture as well.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in front of a bunch of them right here. There. How do I switch this around? Can I do that? Oh, there we go. So it's fun. They're like little, you know, little street scenes, if you will. Sorry, bro, this lighting is terrible.
That's all good.
Try to do something different there, but like old signs built in 3 dimensions, mainly plywood, but it's got a bunch of different stuff. This is a broken pool piece. Don't worry about it. That used to be a diving board right there. But I had a pool party and they wrecked it. You know, so do the coping and like little tiles and shit. Do the little, you know, jump in, whatever, deep end thing. There's another little piece I did a while back. Anyway, so yeah, I do a lot of 3-dimensional sculpture. I think it's fun, and I think it's like, you know, it's kind of a challenge, and then it's also just basically a way to do what I was painting in 3D, and I've always been interested in, and ever since, like, dude, I was a young kid. I'm like, I'm trying to paint. I'm trying to buy canvases, but they suck. So I'm like, I got a retarded hand, and I'm like, smash, you know, I want to smash everything. And so it'd be like denting canvases, and I wanted to paint on wood, but like wood panels are like super expensive. So I asked my dad one day, I'm like, Dad, we could probably build one of these. And he's like, yeah, he showed me a few different ways, and all of a sudden I started figuring it out. So then I started building my own panels, and I paint on them. And then, oh, well, what if I built a little bit different, add some weird stuff on the end, and then that evolved, and then it evolved into like, well, what if I could, you know, this crazy drawing I have, what if I could actually make that in 3D? You know, how would I do that? How would I make that happen? So then I started talking to friends, and I started talking to, you know, professional artists that I know, and be like, you know, I got this idea, and then they're like, oh yeah, just, you know, route out this piece of wood like that. Okay, well, you need a flush trim bit. What's a flush trim bit? Oh, you know what I mean? And so you just sort of learn, and I think that honestly the best artist in the world is the one who's never done learning. You've always got shit to learn. You always have, you know, some peer who knows more than you. And if you're closed off, if you fucking know everything, then you're not going too far. You know what I mean? But if you're if you're teachable, which not a lot of fucking people are teachable.
Yeah, you're right about that one.
You know, yeah, dude. I learned how to weld, and you know, I was like, fuck, this will bring my game up to a whole different level, you know what I'm saying? Now I can weld shit, cool. All right, what else, you know? So it's like I've always been really active in that sense of trying to learn different techniques and tricks or whatever, different tools, different ideas and how to apply them. And then, you know, learn them well, and then bring them into your art, and now you just have another fucking tool in the bag that you can pull out when you need to.
Yeah, brother. Man, at the end of the day, I feel like we're always still learning something, when it comes to art form, because there's just so much to learn and so
True.
little time.
True. And I mean, if you look at like, graffiti legends, right, that are just doing different shit now, like Revoke for instance, right? For example, I don't know if you remember, there was like a period where he was doing like all these found wood cut up pieces and this and that, and then he like simplified even further, and then he kind of simplified it to that crazy whatever like spinny thing that he works
Oh
with
yeah,
now and all that.
the circle,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're like, holy shit. But like, and that's mental, and that's kind of like getting a lot of recognition, which is great, and I think it's pretty cool. But like, if he were to have stopped, you know, at where he was at a certain level, then there's nothing else. You know what I mean? He needed to evolve. Every artist, I think, evolves, and in their own way, and hopefully they continue being relevant and continue being fucking cool. And it's really up to everyone else to be like, yeah, that shit's dope, and it is
Yeah,
dope.
to keep striving, put it out there
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just keep moving.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, fuck, with art shows, like, where people who want to, paint and just like paint in the streets and bomb, and that's it, then that's it. But if you're like putting your fucking little heart on a blank wall in an art gallery, and you're like, here's my work, guys, like, and that's another step. And I think that it's like a fear almost you need to conquer, where you're like, okay, this is who I am, what I'm about to say, and I hope at least get a reaction out of you. Whether good or bad, I hope it fucking does something.
Man, I definitely feel you on that, brother.
Hmm.
The big scale projects, bro. Like when you do big scale, is that something that you always enjoy doing, or that's just something that developed throughout the time?
Bro, I'm a big fan of fake it till you make it type of work ethic, and like, I mean, for real, like I told you I learned it, Jesus, Smith. But I told you I learned to weld, and I was basically, I had that for a project. So I sold the project, right? I pitched it. I drew all these drawings and shit. And I was like, this is what I want to make you guys. And it involved kind of like what would be like a bar type, like countertop thing. And I did not know how to weld, but I knew basics, right? And then, boom, I sold the project to them. I said, great. And just like any project for those listening, half up front, half on delivery. And it was a large project. No,
Yeah.
don't do anything. Oh, I'll get you later. No, you give me half of the total budget. I start working, buy the materials, I deliver, you give me the second half. And I've never had a problem with that. Industry standard, go on that model. So I get half the money, and I tell them, hey, I got some other projects. Well, they don't really know that some other projects is me learning to weld for 30 days. So I was like, cool, what do I need around the house? I built myself a bar, then I built my brother a bar, and like some tables and shit, and I figured I would make all of my mistakes in this 30-day period. I'd fuck up where I need to fuck up. I'd learn to, but as soon as you build something, it's like, I built a bar, and they were like, oh, well, you should always build your shelves first because they're on the interior, and then you put your exterior around that, and everything's perfectly flush. Well, my thinking, I built the exterior and trying to shove shelves inside of it, and they're all slightly different now. It doesn't work. So I'm like, fuck, thank God I made that mistake right here on my brother's bar, which it's my brother, I'm gonna go over there and
Yeah.
get drunk anyway. So that's what you want to mess up. And then I taught myself that skill, and then I was ready to actually do the project. And then I did the project successfully. It all worked out. Life is good. But overpromise yourself, you know what I mean? Like, you can do it. You can figure out anything. Fucking YouTube shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to learn something, be like, how do I, and just type it in and you'll figure it out. Don't copy, don't steal, but a skill is a skill. You can apply it then to your style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Again, man, thanks for sharing that, because I feel like, people need to hear that. People need to understand that in order to be successful, you gotta fuck up. You gotta, make shit look dumb, and people are gonna tell you it's not it, but you just gotta
Yeah.
keep going, gotta keep moving, keep
Dude,
delivering.
I'll share a story I've never shared publicly, and I got video on this. So I did this installation for SDSU. It's our university down here in San Diego, and it was big. It was like 18 feet. For whatever reason, the architect guy was like, yo, you gotta, make sure it just hangs up in like one piece. And I was like, fucking 18 feet. I can't even get it in the door. So I talked them down. They made this like stupid rule. I got to get it up in 4 pieces. And I was like, okay. So I built it in 4 giant sections that all hung up on the wall on these cleats. French cleat is like a way to mount heavy pieces, artwork, cabinetry, that type of stuff. So I
Okay.
said, cool. So I've got this basically 4 pieces of a pie, and I get one up there, and as I'm putting up a second one, I just sort of look over and I'm leaning off the side of a lift, and I kind of just jostle it to like shift it an inch. And it's like a 4 foot by 4 foot giant piece of wood art. It's actually an inverted building with tons of detail. It had a marquee on the top. It had all fucking 2.5 weeks of detail, little clay components to make the molding and like all this stuff.
Well, super
And
detailed.
I shift it and it fucking pops off the wall. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm holding it about 20 feet in the air. I'm grabbing it, and Chop 'em Down Films, good friends, they were there filming the installation. And he was like, oh, put the lav mic on you. So I got a microphone right here, and they're filming it. And I'm just like, oh my God, oh my Jesus fucking Christ.
It's just about to fucking fall.
Oh, like, bring this down. Luckily, someone else was on the lift, and I was able to just hold on with my fingertips and like brought it all the way down, and like handed it to another guy on the ground, and nothing broke. It was amazing. And then I got it back up on the wall just fine. But like, yeah, dude, sometimes it's a little run and gun, And then you're like, fuck, I can't believe that worked out. All right, it's going good.
Man, you gotta fucking just improvise sometimes.
Exactly, man. But yeah, dude, those large projects are awesome. They're super fun, and it takes a different bit of dedication to work on something where you're not finished at the end of the day. You're not even finished in a couple hours. You're finished at the end of 6-8 weeks, and so you gotta like remember to enjoy that little day by day. Like, okay, today we are building this small portion, and we're gonna do that small bit the best we fucking can, and we'll move on to the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, and after 6-8 weeks, it'll be done. If you get all, if you don't have that patience, you know what I mean, then you're fucked. You have to enjoy the process of what you're doing.
Definitely, man. You gotta, and also, just the passion. Like, if this is really for you, every second,
Mm,
whether you're getting paid or not, it just gives you that feeling.
absolutely, man.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Is there any words you could share to, anybody out there that might be listening or will listen in the future that wants to get into, art form or sculpting?
Well, I mean, just have fun, like we're talking about. Learn. If you're enjoying what you're doing and you're learning something, then you're kind of on the right path, right? Like, as you progress, I think it was like that author Malcolm Gladwell says like the rule of 10,000. Like you got to fuck up 10,000 times in order to do it once correctly. You got
Yeah,
10,000 bad sketches before you do a really good sketch. You got 10,000 shitty pieces before you do that fucking fire piece. And maybe that number isn't perfect, but it's like the idea is like, yeah, you just gotta work, and then it'll connect on some point. You know what I mean? Get out there, say hello to people. Be yourself. Don't dick ride, but say hi to someone. Hey man, I like your work. Your stuff is cool. Oh, thanks. My name's okay. My name. You know what I mean? Like most people don't have a super duper ego, and you can walk up and you can say hello, and you can be knowledgeable about your craft and just go into it.
communication's the key.
Pretty much, yeah. And I mean, shit, isn't graffiti at its essence just communication? You're writing a word and you're leaving it behind, and you're doing it with a funk and a style that people will judge you on, right? And then they're communicating back in their minds. Now they're thinking like, oh, maybe, oh wow, I can do that, or oh geez, that shit is toy as fuck. Well, whatever, you're in a sense communicating, right? If you
Yeah,
diss someone's shit, you're communicating. If like shit, I did a piece one time. It was super funny because someone clearly knew who I was, but I took this as a sign of respect. We're just right next door, not in my piece, just next door. They wrote "pinche hipster" with a big fucking arrow. But that shit made me laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you are talking. That's a dialogue right there. I did my shit, and it was fun and colorful and whatever, and some dirty pit, and then someone else was like, "Fuck this guy," but didn't diss it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
like, there's like an element right there. So maybe that's respect for the crew, or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, man, and I know a lot of people also need to understand, like, you got to get out there and do these simple things like communicate, get yourself out there because if you really want to succeed and being an established artist, you got to do that. It's just not gonna fall in your hand, and you're gonna wake up and be like, oh shit, I got shit to go
Yeah,
do.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there are people out there looking for the next greatest artist, right?
Yeah,
That's their whole job in life. But if no one's hitting you up, they don't know about you, or maybe you're just not the next greatest artist. But if you're working towards that, people will let you know when you're getting close, and they'll let you know when shit's happening. Like, excuse me, I did a portfolio review one time with a gallery, and it was awesome. It was fucking amazing. They dissected me. They went through all of my shit, went through every piece of my website, and broke me down. But I learned a ton from that. And so if you're kind of open and interested in being taught and learning from people who are established and dope, then go put yourself out there like that, Go get dissected. I felt like that frog. I was pinned to a board, and they were just looking at my liver and my intestines and flipping it all. Like, I don't know. And they were like two people talking back and forth, and it was just like, fuck, this is horrible. But you learn, and that's important. So I guess that's the theme of the conversation today.
definitely, definitely. Another another
Absolutely.
another
I'm.
topic I wanted to touch in, brother. There's this question I like to ask everybody that hops on krylonTalk, and that being, do you have a favorite sneaker to paint in or work in when you're working on your projects?
Yeah, bud. Let me tell you. So my entire life, I was like, Vans with no socks. Woo! This will take me there. This I'll be good. And then I hit like 30, and I remember having this one mentor painter who always joked with me like, "Yo, you're gonna need some real shoes soon," and I'd be like, "Yeah." And then, dude, you get old one day, and then I was like, oh, I hit 30. I was like, oh my god, fuck, my feet are killing me. My calves hurt. This ladder is actually taking it out of me today. Like, what the fuck's going on? So I guess my answer is the most comfortable shoe for my back. I'm gonna say orthopedic sneakers. But no, for real, like fuck fashion while you're trying to paint. I know that's a thing, but it's not really a thing. Like, yeah, you're gonna get paint all over everything you got, anyways. At least that's my view. I remember Apex telling me a story about the fucking maybe late 80s, early 90s, where he's like, dude, we used to go out, we put trash bags over our shoes, we painted full rubber gloves, but then have the whole outfit to go out to the club after. They'd like wear a trash bag and they'd go paint and all that shit, and then they'd magic it all off. They didn't get a drip on, and they thought they were dope as shit. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. It makes no sense. Like, get some coveralls at that point, right? Like, what are you doing? So
Yeah,
I
man,
don't
I had a
know.
I had a I had a couple buddies, coming to the yard back when we were younger, coming up here with brand new shoes and leaving pissed because they were done by the end of the
Yeah,
session.
might as well wear all white, Get your freshest sneakers on. Nah, man, I painted shit. I painted work boots and jeans and a yellow vest.
Is there
Try to
anything?
try to look
Is
like
it?
a manager on a job site. What?
Is there anything you could share, brother, about maybe being out painting something that like a story that stood out?
Yeah, I got a fun one for you. So I got a wall in Detroit, and Detroit is gnarly. And I'm painting one of the gnarliest parts of Detroit. It's called Cass Corridor, and I was there. I was just kind of passing through town, but I was painting with some other friends, and like the art community's great. And I was with a different festival up in Canada, and I'd come down through Detroit, get this wall through the guys from One Time Run, and they were super cool and they super hospitable and they're great. They're like, yo, we got this wall for you in the Cass Corridor. It's like the gnarliest part of Detroit. I said, okay, let's check it out. I was there with this other artist from Hong Kong. Her name's Keratos. And we were painting, boom, boom, two walls next to each other. The wall itself was next to a liquor store, across from a project, through an alley to a methadone clinic, where everyone would shoot up in the bushes the whole way. And I went out there to take a piss once, and it was like the bushes were talking, and I was like, oh shit, man, gotta get out of here. So I mean, that wall was probably the craziest wall ever painted. I don't know, some fun stories. I was offered all sorts of fun things in the parking lot, but I think there was so many like needles and baggies and fucking anything on the floor that I this homeless dude came up. He's like, hey, I need a job. And I was like, well, shit, man, can you clean this up? He's like, fuck yeah. I jumped in with bare hands, got everything out of there in like 10 minutes. I just gave him like $20, never saw him again. Then again, I could step on the ground. I was like, ooh, I'm painting and shit.
Tippy-toeing, making sure not to step on nothing.
Yeah, it's worth $20 not to fall over into a needle, you know what I'm saying? But I was there for a couple days. But at one point, too, this old dude came up, and he goes, yo, man, it used to say A1K on the wall. And I always kind of try to be conscious of that, because I'm painting a mural, right? And there's a hierarchy everyone knows, and you got to kind of know where you fit in. But usually, if I'm going to spend like 3-4 days on a wall painting the shit out of a mural, if someone did like a throw up on there, they're going to understand it. Maybe they'll come back, maybe not. But I had photographed that. I said, yeah, man, what's A1K? And he's like, you see those guys right there? And I turn around, and there's these 3-4 giant dudes, and they're all dressed in blue, like just coordinated. And they're looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, you said A1K, huh? He's like, A1, I said blue. Does blue work? Yeah. Just like tagged it right on there, dude. And then they just looked at me like, all right, walked off. And I was like, fuck, great. I didn't get my ass kicked. That was cool. So, yeah, you got to, understand where you're painting and why. and yeah, I don't know, obviously you don't want to, like, do some crazy shit where, like, let's say you diss some guy who's fucking dead or some RIP piece, then fuck, then, people are going to hate you and want to kill you. And so you got to, understand, in a sense, in the hierarchy where you fit in and what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing,
Yeah, definitely, brother. I mean, I see situations where guys go over the wrong person or someone that passed away, and that thing will escalate for years, bro. Years of hatred and going back and forth.
I even had one time, I had in a professional sense, someone hit me up and they go, yeah, we have this, I won't even talk about details because maybe someone could figure it out, but they're like, yeah, we got this store and we got this artist on there, and we want to have it painted over. And I said, well, who's the artist? And they're like, oh, it's Saber. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous, And because, like, I met that guy. He was super cool. We're going to hang out. It was, but there's no way that I would try to, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go fucking diss that dude shit or even paint over it. And, you just kind of know what's not to be touched, and then, know what you should be doing. You know what I mean? And, like, you should walk up to some shit and be like, I could paint over that, no problem. But if you're, in a yard or some situation where some guys have just done this giant production, and they spent hours on it, you can tell, I don't want to fuck with that. I don't like Graffiti Beef, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just go paint down the way, and I'll make it look so flashy that you want to come and see it. Hopefully, That's
Man, definitely, I would have done the same thing. Like, you know what? I'm going to have to pass on this one.
Yeah, just before we get out of the gate and I give you a number, I'm just going to say no. Like, but do you have a different wall? Like, what else do you have? Let's talk. Let's make it happen.
I'll do the ones on the side.
Absolutely. But, I think people, too, and this is maybe one of the better things I can share for your audience. If you're out there and you're looking for, to make this your lifestyle and your livelihood, sometimes people will come at you with terrible requests. Truly, clients they're not professional painters. They don't know what they're talking about. So they'll come at you and they'll have some terrible whack shit. And like, this is what we want. Now, you could fucking kill it right there by being negative and going, nah, fuck you guys, fuck the horse you rode in on. I don't like anything about it. Or you could talk to them and go like, this is my move. I'm always like, okay, well, like, what does that mean? So you're saying you want to make a statement. Like, what kind of statement? Then okay, now let's start distilling it and to figure it out. And then, and you want your client to feel happy, to get what they're wanting, but then you can kind of go like, all right, check it out. I feel like you want to make this XYZ statement. Well, let me show you how I would do it in my style. And then maybe you throw them a drawing, and then they're like, what? That's fine. I never would have thought about that. And you go, yeah, you're right. You wouldn't have, because you're not creative. But also because this is my profession. So, but you don't say that part to them. You go like, yeah, I'm just trying to, make your statement for you in a creative way. And then all of a sudden, you just turned a really bad opportunity into a good opportunity. And now this is actually something that you're going to be proud of, that you want to paint. And in some metaphorical statement makes the, you know, the original statement for the piece. And that's kind of where you can be successful. Like, you have to hustle in this game. There is not a fucking playbook. No one's out there teaching you. You have to learn from other artists. You have to, you know, be willing to humble yourself in order to learn. Be willing to work for free. I mean, shit. The how I kind of learned, to be honest with you, one of the better opportunities that I ever had was this Pangea Seed. I don't know if you've heard of it, but really cool mural festivals all over the world.
What was
Um,
it called again?
Pangea Seed.
Pangea.
Seawalls is the project. They do basically big group mural project, and
Is it kind of
they
like powwow?
exactly very
Okay.
similar. They were out in Hawaii. They learned from powwow, and then they started kind of traveling and doing it outside of that. But uh, man, I think it was like 2013 or 14. They hit me up and they were like, "Yo, we're looking for walls in San Diego. We heard you're the guy." And I said, "I am the guy." And then correct. So I worked my ass off though for months on end, and then I got them a bunch of walls, figured it all out, and then I was able, when all these international, you know, they had street artists, they had bunch of different types of artists, but people making giant murals. While they were doing it, I got to walk around or kind of go around as like a production guy and go check out how they're painting. So you get to see, you know, how this person is executing their mural from start to finish. Maybe that guy's projecting. Maybe this guy's got a grid technique. Maybe this guy's got a new grid technique you never thought of before that's going to save your ass 2 days on a wall. Okay, and now you pick up that, and then you pick up the next thing, and then all of a sudden you start to figure out how you would maybe merge the best of those ideas to help you in your own style, and then you're like, I'm good to go. I mean, like from the littlest things, like those little paint sprayers. Like, I dropped the $500 on the little Greco fucking.
Oh, okay,
You,
okay.
yeah, you could throw that in your suitcase. You can take it anywhere, and now you can figure out maybe what your center color is, what your fill color is, and then instead of spray paint taking forever to fill, you know, a 12 by 12 foot section, you got your paint sprayer, which drops an 18-inch line of paint, wah, 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 and it's done. And then you're on to the next move, and you know,
Man, when I found out about that thing, man, that should change my whole perspective.
ooh, paint sprayers, knowing how to use them. I'd tell you the truth, dude. If I had no artistic talent, I think I could be happy as just a commercial house painter. Just doing that, like, that shit makes me happy. It's not satisfying, you know. You gotta do what you do. So yeah, like using that, and then, you know, then you see how you like do giant tall tags with it, have some fun with it, you know. So I don't know. It's all the process, but learning from a bunch of different sources like that was a really good experience.
Man, definitely. I've had a chance to actually learn from some people, and yeah, it is dope, you know, to
Yeah,
get
for sure.
those little extra pointers. Before I let
Yeah.
you go, bro. Before I let you go, brother, because they got me on the time limit right here on the Instagram live. Can you talk a little bit about what do you see in the next 2 3 generations, and just art in general? You know, graffiti and even sculpting. How do you feel about the future?
Well, it's a broad question. I think that, frankly, you know, I think that it's gonna get, it's gonna turn a little more digital. I
Okay.
feel like that is coming. I feel that interactivity on the internet, and whether it's you like it or not, I don't love every element of it, but man, there's so much in that digital sense where, like, you know, you paint a wall and then people can hold up their phone and it animates in some beautiful way or says something different. Like, that kind of shit is like sort of groundbreaking and next level, and I think that's going to become more kind of ubiquitous. I also think that the like three-dimensional murals is that's kind of where I want to take it for my own shit, where
Okay.
it's like half installation, half piece. And some people are doing that. Like, Quest is like crazy at what he does. He does his letters, but in 3 dimension, thick out of plywood. I don't mean in necessarily that. I think it's fucking amazing. But for myself, I would apply it in a different way. But still, what I'm saying is, like, where maybe you have a giant wall, and instead of just painting it, your letters like half out, half into the wall. You know, maybe this part's like a shelf, and that part's like usable for your client. Like, but make your piece in a 2 dimensional interactive sense. I think that could be super cool. I think that shit, like, you know, I know people hate on iPads and whatever, but man, if you have a digital drawing tool, let's just call it that, that you can sketch out a bunch of shitty ideas and hit undo on them, it's gonna make you a better painter. You know, obviously there's still fundamentals that you have to step through and go through before you're actually able to just like go out in a yard and do something incredible. But that ability to fuck up so quickly and say oops and go right back to where you were instead of like drawing in an actual black book with a Sharpie, I think that's going to be critical, dude. I think that's critical to people's development. I've seen people come across in the last few years, for whatever reason, especially tattoo artists who are like, fuck that shit, I'll never fucking ever touch one. And then secretly they're DMing me like, hey, so how do you download those brushes? And like, yeah, dude, because it's a tool, you know what I'm saying? And everything's a tool. And if you learn how to use every tool just a little bit, you'll understand the ones that are going to make you a more successful and better painter. And then boom, you can go from there, you know? I also think that like the super cool fucking, and again, another digital versus wall thing is where people do that, what's it called? The image projection or whatever, the image tracing, where their murals light up. Like Faith 47 just did a really rad one. Soulfuls did a one years ago. That was incredible. Like those types of shits, that blows my mind. I would love to do that one day.
That shit had me tripping out when I seen it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's like when you paint something and then at night it just takes on this whole just amazing colors changing, and you know, I think that would be amazing for festivals. For, you know, we went and painted EDC not last year or whatever, but 2 years ago, and like kids would trip the fuck out on that. And I think so bringing all that kind of crazy interactive digital element together, I think that's kind of where the future goes.
I wasn't even aware about EDC incorporating any type of art into their festival.
Yeah, they got a lot of shit out there, man. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts. I think Greg Mike painted out there the year I was there. Well, I guess they didn't do it last year because this is COVID, so it was the last one they had. But yeah, Greg Mike painted.
Shout out Greg Mike. That guy got some dope stuff.
Yeah, Greg Mike's the shit. I had a funny one with him one time where they were, I'm going to say they because it wasn't me, but it was like Greg Mike. So they were like Atlanta, him and Big Teeth. And it was my boy Ghostbeard and Patch Whiskey, and Ghosty is out of like fucking, oh shit, Ghosty, you're gonna be mad at me. Forget where you're from. But everyone is like from some way hood place, and I was from San Diego, and they're all sitting there in this parking lot battle rapping. And they were just like going into it, and they're like, yo, Chris, you don't ever like roll up to a spot and fucking all spit some bars and shit? I'm like, no. When we go to paint, we all shut the fuck up. And we don't say shit. Like, you know, don't even pull out your phone and glow on the train. You know, shut up. Don't say nothing. So it's just funny, man, different cultures. But yeah, man, I had a great time hanging out with that guy.
Man, thank you for sharing that, brother. And again, I just want to give you a thank you for coming on krylonTalk and giving us, you know, a couple minutes of your time. And I look forward to be here, man. I look forward to meeting you once this COVID-19's over. Maybe I'll pull up over there or something.
Come on down. Come on down to San Diego, man. Got a couch for you.
Shit, again, brother, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to meeting you after this COVID is over. This Instagram thing got me on a timing limit. Shut off.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a good thing you got. At least it's more accessible, right? You could kind of do these all the time. And just like me, I ain't got shit going on right now. I'm going to go paint some bullshit right now after this. But, you know, yeah, I'm sure everyone can pull in an hour. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to building them more into like an actual podcast where I could figure out how to get people to come to me, or I come to them and set it up there. But
I think you're doing your thing right now, and you can get them on YouTube. So it's cool. You got a way to do it and distribute it. So keep it up, man. That's an awesome thing. I think we need more people too, like hyping up and building the overall art scene, talking about it and documenting it, and you know.
Sorry to cut you off, brother, but it's giving me 9 seconds before it cuts off. Again, brother, much love, peace.
Love you, brother. Take care.
You too.